I entered into a marriage of convenience with the city's most aloof CEO. After the wedding, he set 3 conditions. I wasn't allowed to touch him, reveal our relationship publicly, or fall in love with him. I nodded vigorously, knowing it was just a mutually beneficial arrangement. Until one midnight, when I went to the kitchen for a glass of water, I caught him grinning foolishly at my photo, muttering to himself, "My wife is so beautiful me. Wait a minute. This plot seemed all wrong, Ms. Grace. This is the room Mr. Vance has prepared for you." The butler expressionlessly pushed open a door. The decor inside, how should I put it, was as cold as a morgue, black, white, and gray, with straight lines, and not even an extra throw pillow. I, Grace, an hour ago, got our marriage license with the owner of this house, Marcus, CEO of Vance, a marriage license valid for 1 year. The reason was that my family's company's financial chain broke, and it was on the brink of bankruptcy. Grandfather somehow connected with grandfather. The grandfathers quickly agreed, using a marriage contract to secure a life-saving investment from Vance, and I was the bargaining chip packed and sent off. Understood? Thank you. I forced a stiff smile, dragging my suitcase inside. The door closed behind me, cutting off everything outside. I plopped down on the bed. It was as hard as an iron slab. Pulling out my phone, my best friend Chloe's text messages had already flooded my screen. "Grace, you actually got married? To that living terror Marcus? They say temperatures drop 10 degrees Fahrenheit within 5 feet of him. And he could make executives cry and resign during meetings. Most importantly, the rumor is he's allergic to women. This isn't getting married. You're going to become a nun." I gave a wry smile and typed a reply. "For the company, I have no choice." "Well, you better be careful, or in a year, your heart will be frozen solid." I looked at the empty, cold room and heartily agreed. This wasn't a bridal suite. It was clearly a tomb tailor-made for me. That night, I wore my most conservative long-sleeved pajamas and huddled under the blanket. The master bedroom door opened, and I instantly held my breath, straining my ears. The footsteps were light, passing my door without stopping, and went directly into the study across the hall. Good, all was quiet. Just as I was about to relax, my phone suddenly chimed. It was a text message from Marcus. We had just added each other as friends today, and his profile picture was still gray. His name on the messaging app was his full name, Marcus, aloof and cold, just like him. I tapped open the message and found only a few brief words. Agreement, a document was attached below. I opened it. It was a dense prenuptial agreement. In summary, there were 3 points. 1. During the period of marriage, we shall not interfere in each other's private lives. 2. In any public setting, our marital relationship must not be revealed. 3. No emotions beyond the contract are permitted toward the other party. I pursed my lips. That's truly heartless, but it suited me perfectly. I quickly replied with 1 word. "Okay." He replied instantly. "Sign it, print it, and leave it on the study desk tomorrow." I paused. Surprised, replied instantly. The Marcus, the CEO rumored to reply to text messages purely by chance, actually replied instantly. Maybe it was just a coincidence. I forwarded the agreement to my email, got up, and went to the study to find the printer. The study door wasn't locked, and I tiptoed to open it. Marcus was sitting behind a massive desk, wearing wire-rimmed glasses. Focused on his computer screen, he was wearing a black silk robe, collar slightly open, revealing his muscular chest. The light shone down from above him, and his profile was as sharp as a sculpture. I had to admit, his face was indeed top tier. Unfortunately, he was an ice sculpture. I didn't dare to look further, quickly found the printer, printed out the agreement, and signed my name, just as I was about to slip away. His cold voice suddenly rang out. "Stop." My body stiffened, and I slowly turned around. "Mr. Marcus?" He looked up, his gaze behind the lenses sharp as a knife. "At home. Call me by my name, Marcus," I whispered. He acknowledged me, his gaze falling on the agreement in my hand. "Anything else?" "No, nothing else." I placed the agreement on the corner of his desk and turned to leave. "Wait," he called out to me again. I was at my wit's end. What did he want now? "The yogurt in the kitchen is fresh," he said blandly, his gaze returning to the computer screen. I stood frozen. Yogurt? When I arrived that afternoon, I had indeed seen a row of my favorite brand of mango yogurt in the fridge. At the time, I thought the butler had prepared it. Could it have been him? Impossible. I shook my head, shaking off this absurd thought. It had to be a coincidence. Yes, just a coincidence. This man, he was Marcus, a walking freezer who had "stay away from me" carved on his face. How could he possibly prepare yogurt for me? I fled in disarray back to my room, my heart still pounding. It must have been a delusion. I burrowed under the blanket, covered my head with the blanket, and forced myself to sleep. However, in the middle of the night, I woke up thirsty. I quietly tiptoed out of the room. The living room was pitch black, with only a faint light coming from the kitchen. Curiously, I crept closer and peeked through the crack in the door. Then, I witnessed a sight I would never forget. Marcus, who was cold enough to freeze someone to death during the day, was now leaning against the refrigerator, holding his phone. On his phone screen was a selfie from my social media post. His slender fingers gently caressed my face on the screen, and a hint of a goofy grin hung at the corner of his lips. Yes, it was a goofy grin. His tenderness was almost palpable. He even brought the phone to his lips and kissed the screen. Then I heard him say softly, in a dreamy, infinitely doting tone, "My wife is so beautiful, me." The glass in my hand clattered to the floor. The man in the kitchen. His smile instantly froze. The air was deadly silent. I wish the ground would swallow me whole. Marcus slowly turned his head. On his outrageously handsome face, the goofy grin hadn't completely faded, making him look a little comical. He looked at me, his eyes first showing shock, then panic, before quickly turning icy. "What are you doing here?" His voice reverted to its usual coldness, even carrying a hint of suppressed anger. I was thirsty, so I came down for water." I stammered an explanation, my toes practically digging a hole to China. His gaze fell on the glass shards at my feet, and his frown deepened. "Not sleeping in the middle of the night, sleepwalking?" I quickly waved my hand. No. I was just really thirsty." He didn't say anything more and took long strides towards me. I was too scared to move a muscle. Watching his tall figure loom over me, I was done for. Prying into his private life, would he kill me to keep me silent? My mind was already replaying a true crime documentary. However, he just bent down and carefully picked up the glass shards from the floor. His fingers were long and well-defined. Doing such mundane chores, he still exuded an inexplicable sexiness. "Stand still, be careful not to cut your foot," he commanded without looking up. I obediently mumbled "oh." He threw the shards into the trash can, then got a broom and dustpan, and meticulously swept the floor. Throughout the entire process, he didn't say a word, and the atmosphere was terrifyingly oppressive. I felt like a prisoner awaiting judgment. After cleaning up, he stood up and looked down at me. "Just now, what did you see?" Here it came. The moment of judgment had finally arrived. My mind raced, and I forced a smile uglier than a cry. "What?" I didn't see anything. My eyes were dazzled by the light just now, a little blurry. Yes, I was just seeing things. My survival instinct made me an award-winning actress. Marcus narrowed his eyes, staring at me intently. I felt his gaze like an X-ray, trying to see right through me. After a long moment, he scoffed coldly. "It better be that way." He turned, took a bottle of bottled water from the fridge, opened it, and put it in my hand. "Drink up and go to sleep." With that, he went upstairs without looking back. I held the bottled water, watching his figure disappear around the stairwell, and let out a long sigh of relief. I had survived a close call, but was that scene just now really not a hallucination? The man who grinned foolishly at my photo and called me wife, was that really Marcus? I felt my worldview was severely shaken. The next morning, I went downstairs with dark circles under my eyes. Marcus was already dressed immaculately, sitting at the dining table, reading a financial newspaper. A perfectly tailored suit made him appear even more aloof and reserved, as if the obsessed man secretly kissing a photo last night was just a dream of mine. 2 breakfasts were laid out on the dining table. One for him, a sandwich and black coffee. The other was for me, oatmeal with a few small exquisite side dishes. I froze. I have a sensitive stomach and usually have a light breakfast. Only my family and my best friend Chloe knew about this. "The butler prepared it?" I asked tentatively. Marcus didn't look up and grunted. The butler again. The butler truly was an all-purpose scapegoat. I sat down and quietly ate my oatmeal. The atmosphere remained awkward. "I'll take you to the office today," he suddenly spoke. "Huh? No need. I can just take the subway." I was startled. Didn't the agreement say we couldn't reveal our relationship? The CEO personally driving a new junior designer to work. If that were seen, wouldn't the company's social platform explode? "It's on my way." He was concise and left no room for argument. "Fine, the boss rules." Getting into his Bentley, I was so nervous I didn't know where to put my hands. The car was spacious and permeated with a faint fur scent, the same scent as him. I secretly glanced at the driver's seat. He was focused on driving, his profile stern. It was really hard to connect this man with the obsessed man from last night. The car stopped about a block away from the office. "Get out here," he said coldly. I felt a wave of relief, quickly unbuckled my seatbelt. "Okay, goodbye, Mr. Marcus." "Wait," he called out to me again. My heart sank. "What now?" He turned his head, his dark eyes fixed on me, and said something that almost made me crack then and there. "Don't get too close to any men at the office, me." Was that part of the agreement? I don't remember that. He seemed to sense my confusion and added, "Especially, Daniel." The cheerful guy from our design department had helped me move some files once and exchanged a few words with me. He knew all that. Did he install surveillance cameras at the office? Why? I couldn't help but ask. Marcus's face darkened, and his tone grew colder. "No reason, just remember what I said." With that, he didn't look at me again and restarted the car. I dejectedly got out of the car, watching the Bentley speed away, my mind full of questions. What was wrong with this man? What about our agreement not to interfere with each other? Controlling everything, even who I talk to, isn't that a bit possessive? Puzzled, I walked into the office, and just as I reached my cubicle, Chloe floated over with a gossipy look. "Grace, I just saw a global limited edition Bentley, with a special license plate. Which big shot do you think it belongs to?" I lowered my head, feeling guilty. How would I know? "Hey, what do you think?" She leaned in. Could it be Mr. Marcus? The terror? My hand trembled, nearly spilling my coffee. How could that be? Someone like him would come to a small place like ours. True, Chloe nodded, then mysteriously leaned in and whispered, but I'm going to tell you a secret. Don't tell anyone else. What? I heard that our Mr. Marcus actually has the one who got away in his heart and has liked her for years. My heart sank. The one who got away. Could it be? The photo he was looking at last night was actually of the one who got away. And she just happened to look a bit like me. As soon as this thought popped up, my heart inexplicably felt a little heavy. Really? Absolutely true. They say for the sake of the one who got away, he has remained celibate, untouched by other women. Me? Remained celibate? Then the one last night who was kissing the photo and calling me wife. Was he possessed by a ghost? The more I thought, the more confused I became. This? How many faces did he have? That afternoon, the design department had a meeting to discuss a resort landscape design project. As a new hire, I could only sit in the corner and listen. The project leader was Linda, a senior designer. After she finished presenting her proposal, the director frowned, seeming dissatisfied. Linda, your proposal is still too conservative. It lacked a captivating and memorable element. Linda's face darkened. The conference room fell silent. No one dared to speak up. I looked down at the doodles in my notebook. They were concept sketches I had casually drawn based on the project materials. I had designed a starlight pool concept, using special materials and lighting to make the pool look like it contained the entire Milky at night. Grace, the director suddenly called my name. I jumped, startled, and quickly stood up. Director, do you have any ideas? All eyes were on me, some curious, some disdainful, especially. Whose gaze held obvious hostility. What ideas could a newcomer like me possibly have? I nervously swallowed, glanced at the sketch in my notebook, and went for it. I have an unpolished idea. I explained the starlight pool concept. The director's eyes instantly lit up. This is a great idea. Very creative. Linda's face completely darkened. After the meeting, the director asked me to refine the sketch and submit it to him tomorrow. I returned to my cubicle, feeling as if Linda's glares were stabbing through my back. Chloe sent me a "you're awesome" emoji. I replied with trembling with fear. As quitting time approached, a downpour suddenly began outside. I hadn't brought an umbrella and looked at the curtain of rain outside the window with a desperate expression. Just as I was about to call a ride-sharing service, my phone rang. It was Marcus. Come downstairs again. 2 commanding words. I ran to the office entrance and sure enough, saw the familiar Bentley. I opened the car door and sat in, bringing a wave of dampness with me. Sorry, I got your car wet. He didn't speak, but handed me a dry towel. The heater was on full blast in the car, and my frozen hands and feet slowly warmed up. Thank you, I whispered. The car drove smoothly through the curtain of rain. I secretly looked at him and noticed his left shoulder was quite wet. When he handed me the towel just now, he seemed to have been standing especially close to me. Could it have been to shield me from the rain? That strange feeling bubbled up inside me again. Your shoulder is wet. I couldn't help but remind him. He responded blandly, still focused on driving back home. I immediately took a hot shower. When I came out, I saw Marcus standing in the living room, seemingly waiting for me. Something wrong? I asked. He handed me a steaming cup, steaming ginger tea. Drink it. I took it in a daze. The cup was warm, and the warmth spread from my palm to my heart. How did you know it was here? My cheeks were burning. Marcus's expression was unnatural for a moment. He cleared his throat and looked away. The butler said, the all-purpose butler again. I took a sip of the ginger tea. It was sweet, spicy, and very warming. Thank you. He turned to go upstairs, but I called out to him on an impulse. Marcus? He stopped and looked back at me. I noticed his shirt collar was slightly askew. My oct kicked in, and I instinctively wanted to reach out and straighten it for him. My hand was halfway there when I realized what I was doing. The atmosphere instantly became charged. My fingertips were mere centimeters from his Adam's apple, and I could even feel the warmth radiating from his skin. His breathing seemed to grow heavier. My face was beet red, and I wanted to pull my hand back, but he suddenly grabbed my wrist. His palm was hot and strong, like an iron clamp. What are you trying to do? He leaned down, his dark eyes gazing deeply into mine, his voice hoarse. My heart pounded with anxiety. My mind went blank from his gaze. I saw your collar was crooked. Is that so? He leaned even closer, his warm breath caressing my face. I thought you were trying to do something to me. My heart pounded as if it would burst from my throat. This man, was he flirting with me? The aloof and reserved Marcus, flirting with me? This was even more shocking than him grinning foolishly at my photo. I wasn't, I denied quickly. He chuckled softly, his deep, melodious laugh making my eardrums tingle. Such a scaredy cat. He released my hand, straightened up, and slowly and methodically adjusted his collar. Then, he looked at me deeply, his gaze so complex I couldn't decipher it. Get some rest. With that, he turned and went upstairs, leaving me standing there alone, my face flushed and my heart pounding. Completely bewildered, I touched my burning cheeks, feeling like this marriage of convenience seemed to be straying further and further from the script. Was he truly an iceberg, or a volcano ready to erupt at any moment? The next day, I submitted the detailed design for the starlight pool to the director. The director was full of praise and decided on the spot to have me join the project team and work on the case with Linda. Linda's face was as dark as a pot. I could feel that from that moment on, my professional life probably wouldn't be peaceful as expected. Linda started targeting me at every turn. She sent me to the construction site to collect data but gave me the wrong address, making me waste a trip under the scorching sun. She asked me to organize meeting minutes but deliberately withheld the voice recorder, hoping to see me embarrass myself. Fortunately, I had a good memory and managed to compile the minutes from memory. I put up with all these petty tactics. When you're dependent on someone, you have to defer to them. Then on Friday, the project team had a meeting to present the initial proposal to the client. Linda was responsible for explaining the PowerPoint presentation. When she reached the core starlight pool section, she brushed over it lightly, as if the idea was her own. The client representative frowned. This starlight pool is very interesting. Could you elaborate? Linda stammered, unable to give a clear explanation. Because all the detailed design was in my head. The director's face darkened. I sat in the corner, clenching my fists. This was a design I had stayed up for several nights to create. Why should she steal it like this? Just as I was about to stand up and defend myself, the conference room door was pushed open. Marcus walked in, surrounded by a group of executives. The moment he appeared, the air pressure in the entire conference room instantly dropped to freezing point. Everyone stood up and respectfully greeted Mr. Marcus. He walked straight to the main seat without batting an eye and sat down, his gaze sweeping across the room before finally resting on me for a second. Continue, he said blandly. The director wiped the sweat from his forehead and gestured for Linda to continue. Linda's voice trembled with nervousness, and facing Marcus's icy face, she couldn't even say a complete sentence. This starlight pool is using lights enough. Marcus interrupted her, his tone filled with unconcealed annoyance. Such a good idea. And you made it sound like cheap street merchandise. Linda's face instantly turned purple. Marcus turned to the director, who proposed this idea. The director glanced at me, then at a pale Linda, hesitating to speak. I took a deep breath and stood up. Mr. Marcus? It was me. All eyes focused on me once more. Marcus looked at me, without a hint of surprise in his eyes, as if he had known all along. You explain it. Yes, sir. I walked to the front and took the clicker. At first, I was still a little nervous. But once I started talking about the design I knew well, I gradually relaxed. I covered everything from the design concept to material selection and construction details. Speaking clearly, coherently, and passionately, my voice was the only one in the entire conference room. After finishing, I bowed. The client representative was the first to applaud. Excellent, Ms. Grace. Your design perfectly fits our vision for this resort. The director and colleagues also applauded, only stood aside, pale and defeated. Marcus didn't applaud. He just looked at me. A slight upward curve of his lips. Was it a trick of the light? After the meeting, the client representative immediately stated they hoped I would lead the project. Naturally, the director had no objections. Linda was called into the director's office and was reportedly chewed out severely. I packed up my things, ready to leave for the day. In such a good mood I wanted to hum a tune. Walking downstairs from the office, the Bentley was parked in its usual spot. I habitually opened the car door. Thank you for today. I sincerely thanked him. If he hadn't shown up suddenly, I didn't know how much longer Linda would have bullied me. Thank me for what? He started the car, his tone unreadable. Thank you for giving me a chance. You earned the opportunity yourself. He paused, then added, well done. Receiving his praise, I felt a little pleased inside. By the way, he suddenly spoke, are you free this weekend? Yes, why? Come with me to a banquet. I froze. A banquet? Didn't we agree not to make our relationship public? It's a private banquet. People from the inner circle. He explained, I need a female companion. I understood. A mere tool then, okay. Saturday evening. Assistant, Marcus's assistant, delivered a gown. It was a strapless, starry night blue gown, with a skirt adorned with tiny diamonds that sparkled under the lights. Just like the starlight pool I designed. I put on the gown, looking at myself in the mirror. A little dazed, Marcus came downstairs, and when he saw me, his steps noticeably paused. He was wearing a black suit today, no tie, 2 buttons undone, less of his usual sharpness, more of a sexy nonchalance. His gaze lingered on me, his eyes so deep they seemed to pull me in. Very beautiful. His apple bobbed, his voice a little hoarse, his gaze made me blush, and I awkwardly adjusted my skirt. The banquet was held at a private estate. The attendees were wealthy and influential, at the pinnacle of society. Linking arms with Marcus, I felt like Cinderella who had stumbled into high society. Don't be nervous, just stay by my side. He seemed to sense my awkwardness and whispered in my ear. His breath tickled my ear. Throughout the banquet, people kept coming over to greet Marcus. He responded indifferently to them all, but the hand holding my arm never let go. I became the object of every woman's envy. Marcus, who is this? A man in a flashy pink suit walked over, looking at me with a playful expression. My wife, Grace, Marcus introduced blandly. This was the first time he had acknowledged my identity publicly, although it was only within a small circle. The man raised an eyebrow. Oh, when did you get married? How come I didn't know? No need for you to know, tsk. Still so unlovable. The man turned to me, extending his hand. Hello, Ms. Grace, I'm Ethan. Just as I was about to reach out, Marcus pulled me into his embrace, completely ignoring Ethan's outstretched hand. She's not used to shaking hands with strangers. Ethan, me, isn't that possessiveness a bit too obvious? Ethan didn't seem angry, and his smile grew more intimate. Fine, she's your woman, you protect her. After he left, I quietly asked Marcus, your friend? Not really, all right. Halfway through the banquet, I had some champagne and felt a little dizzy, so I went to the balcony for some fresh air. The evening breeze felt much better. As I was enjoying the breeze, Linda's call suddenly came in. Her voice was trembling with tears. Grace, you bitch. What is your relationship with Mr. Marcus? Did you use some unscrupulous means to get into his bed? I frowned. Linda, are you drunk? Drunk? I'm perfectly sober. I'm telling you, I won't let you get away with this. I've already posted your glorious deeds of stealing my idea and seducing the boss on the company's social platform. You just wait to be drowned in public condemnation. With that, she hung up the phone. My heart sank, and I quickly opened the company's social platform. A prominently highlighted post appeared on the homepage, exposing the new schemer in the design department who climbed the ladder through plagiarism and illicit means. The post described me as a calculating woman who would stop at nothing to get ahead. It also included photos of me being picked up and dropped off by Marcus's Bentley, taken from extremely suggestive angles. The comment section had exploded. Holy cow, is this true? She seemed so innocent normally. You never know a person's true nature. I never thought she'd be like this. No wonder a newcomer like her could secure the resort project. She must have slept her way to the top. Vile language, too disgusting to read. I held my phone, my hands and feet ice cold. This was Linda's revenge. She wanted to ruin me. A suit jacket, still warm from his body, was suddenly draped over my shoulders. I turned around, meeting Marcus's bottomless eyes. Your hands are so cold. He held my hand, his brows deeply furrowed. What happened? I handed him my phone, my voice trembling. After he read the post, his face instantly darkened, turning grim enough to drip with anger. The air on the entire balcony seemed to freeze. Don't be afraid. He pulled me into his embrace and gently patted my back. I've got you. His embrace was warm and strong. I buried my face in his chest, and all the grievances and anxieties, at that moment, seemed to find an outlet. Tears, against my will, streamed down. I don't know how long I cried. I only know that Marcus held me tightly the entire time without saying a word, just stroking my hair again and again with his warm palm. Once my emotions had gradually calmed down, he finally released me and gently wiped away the tear stains on my face with his thumb. Let's go home. His voice was soft, yet it carried an undeniable power that left no room for argument. On the way back, the car was deadly silent. I kept my head down, not daring to look at him. Although I knew I was innocent, the photos in the post were, after all, real. Our relationship had been semi-exposed in such an embarrassing way. I didn't know what he would think, or if he would feel I had caused him trouble. After all, our agreement clearly stated that our relationship couldn't be revealed. What are you afraid of? He suddenly spoke. I was afraid you'd be angry. Why should I be angry? He countered. I caused you trouble, he scoffed. This little thing, you call that trouble? I stared at him in a daze. He turned his head, his dark eyes surprisingly bright in the night. Grace, remember this, as long as you're still my wife, Marcus, even if it's just for one day, I'll always be here to support you, no matter what. My heart skipped a beat. Back home, I sat on the sofa, restless and uneasy. Marcus, on the other hand, went straight into the study. I could hear him making calls inside, his voice low but his tone icy and full of oppressive power. What is the PR department doing? Within half an hour, I want that post and all related comments to completely disappear from the internet. Trace the IP of the poster, and as for Linda, I don't want to see her in the company tomorrow. Prepare the legal department. I want to sue her until she's bankrupt. My heart pounded with fear as I listened. Was this the living terror's method? Truly ruthless. Half an hour later, Marcus emerged from the study. It's handled. He walked up to me, looking down at me. Go to sleep. That, Linda, she will pay for her actions. He interrupted me. That's not your concern. I looked at his stern profile, my mind filled with mixed emotions. He seemed to be protecting me. The feeling of being wholeheartedly protected was unfamiliar, but also incredibly reassuring. The next day was Monday. I arrived at the office with a feeling of trepidation. The moment I stepped into the office, I felt that the atmosphere was off. My colleagues' gazes were filled with sympathy and awe. Chloe rushed over immediately and pulled me to a corner. Grace, are you okay? I saw all those posts on the social platform. It made me so angry. I'm fine. I shook my head. How could you be fine? Chloe was beaming with excitement. But you're amazing. Do you know last night, all the posts and comments about you on the social platform were completely deleted. Not a single word was left. So fast, it was like a hacker attack. My heart fluttered, and, first thing this morning, Linda was called in by HR, and I heard she was directly fired, Chloe said, beaming with excitement, and the company is also suing her for defamation. It was truly satisfying. Everyone's guessing if you have some powerful figure with deep connections helping you. I gave two dry laughs and said nothing. The big shot was sitting in the office upstairs. After this incident, no one in the company dared to openly make things difficult for me anymore. Some even started trying to curry favor with me, and my relationship with Marcus also underwent some subtle changes. He no longer deliberately kept his distance from me as he had at first. We started acting like an ordinary couple, eating together, strolling together. He would remember that I casually mentioned wanting cake from a certain store, and H'd buy it the next day when I worked late. H'd keep the living room lights on, waiting for me. He didn't say much, but everything he did made me feel warm. I realized that the iceberg seemed to be slowly melting for me, and my heart too was slowly falling for this unique favoritism. That day, the company organized a team-building event to play basketball in the suburbs. As a clumsy person at sports, I could only sit on the sidelines as a cheerleader. The guys from the design department were utterly defeated by the marketing department. Daniel was out of breath and ran over to me for water. "Grace, do you want to come up and try? Just to warm up." I was about to refuse when an icy voice came from not far away. "She won't." I turned around and saw Marcus, who had arrived unnoticed, standing nearby, his face as dark as a pot. Why was he here? Didn't he always avoid these kinds of group activities? The whole place instantly fell silent, and all eyes were on us. Marcus took long strides, walked over to me, took off his suit jacket, and tossed it to me. "Hold this then." He undone his shirt cuffs, rolled up his sleeves to his elbows, revealing a section of his strong forearm. He took the basketball from Daniel's hand and weighed it in his hand. "I'll play." The whole audience gasped. Mr. Marcus was going to play himself? What kind of fantasy plot was this? Marcus stepped onto the court, and the entire basketball court's atmosphere changed. He was like an awakened cheetah, full of aggression, dribbling, passing defenders, jumping, shooting. His movements were fluid and seamless. A beautiful three-pointer. Swish, the whole place erupted in deafening cheers. I held his suit jacket, watching the man sweat on the court, my eyes glued to him. He seemed to be radiating. The rest of the game became his one-man show. After scoring, he would habitually lift his jersey to wipe sweat. His 8-pack abs and V-line were clearly visible in the sunlight. This made the female colleagues on the sidelines cover their mouths and shriek. And every time he made this move, his gaze would sweep across the entire court, precisely locking onto me. That look was full of provocation and showing off. My face was flush and my heart was pounding from his stare, so I could only pretend to look at the scenery. The game ended, and Marcus's team won without a doubt. He was surrounded by his teammates. Like a king, I thought he would go celebrate with his teammates. Instead, he pushed through the crowd and walked straight towards me, under the gaze of hundreds of people from the company. He walked over to me and tucked the basketball he was holding into my arms. Then, he lowered his head, cupped the back of my head, and kissed me fiercely. My mind went blank with a buzz. The surrounding screams and gasps seemed to fade away. In my world, only his dominant, sweaty kiss remained. The kiss was dominant and passionate, carrying an undeniable intensity, as if it would devour me whole. My brain completely froze, and I just stood there, stupidly holding the basketball, letting him declare his ownership in front of the entire company. I don't know how much time passed before he slightly released me, resting his forehead against mine, his breath hot now. "Everyone knows," he said, looking at me, emotions I couldn't decipher swirling in his dark eyes. "You are mine." I looked at his handsome face, so close to mine, my heart pounding uncontrollably. My colleagues had gone wild. What did I just see? Mr. Marcus kissed Grace. This is like a romantic drama. So sweet. Chloe was even more exaggerated, clutching her chest as if she was about to faint. "My ship is real. It's real." Marcus pulled me, and we fled the scene under everyone's gaze. Once in the car, my face was still burning. You're crazy?" I stammered. "Didn't we agree? The agreement is void." He cut me off, his tone leaving no room for argument. "From now on, there's no agreement, no contract." He turned and looked at me seriously. "Grace, I want you to be my real wife." I froze. Was this a confession? I opened my mouth, but didn't know what to say. "I know you're confused right now." He reached out and gently stroked my cheek. "It'll give you time to think. But my answer will never change." The car drove all the way home. I walked into the mansion in a daze, feeling like I was dreaming. Marcus, that high and mighty, ice-cold CEO, actually liked me. How could this be? That night, I lay in bed, tossed and turned, unable to sleep. My mind was filled with the dominant kiss from earlier that day and his words. "I want you to be my real wife." I got up and walked to the study door on an impulse. The study door was ajar, and light shone from within. I quietly pushed it open a crack and saw Marcus sitting at the desk, his back to me. He wasn't working. He was looking at something. Curiosity piqued. I moved closer and saw what he held in his hand. It was a somewhat old notebook. He was utterly engrossed, his fingers gently tracing the pages, an expression of gentleness I had never seen before. What exactly was he looking at? Just as I was about to get a clearer look, my foot accidentally nudged the door. "Who's there?" Marcus alertly closed the notebook and turned around. Scared, I quickly stood straight and offered an awkward smile. I couldn't sleep when he saw it was me. His eyes softened. "Come here." I shuffled over reluctantly. "What were you looking at?" I couldn't help but ask. My curiosity piqued. He paused, then handed me the notebook he was holding. See for yourself. I took it hesitantly and opened the first page. Elegant handwriting met my eyes. Date: XX20XX. Sunny today, in the university library. I met a very strange guy. He was sitting right across from me, but kept his head down, not daring to look at me. Only when I left did he secretly raise his head, and I caught him red-handed. His ears turned red. So cute. My heart gave a violent lurch. This handwriting, it's mine. This was my college diary. How could I not remember writing this? I continued to turn the pages. Today, I ran into that guy again. He seems to always show up wherever I am. Is it a coincidence? His name is Marcus. We chose the same elective course. He always sits behind me, and during class, I always feel a gaze on my back. Left bracket. It rained today. And I didn't have an umbrella. He gave me his umbrella and ran off in the rain himself. What an idiot. Page after page. It was all about a guy named Marcus from my university days. Those forgotten, naive, and vague stirrings of affection, all surged up at that moment. I finally remembered. This notebook was something I had accidentally lost when I graduated from university. I thought I would never find it again, but unexpectedly, it was with him. How do you have this? I looked up, staring at him in shock. Marcus's gaze became a little unnatural, and he cleared his throat. I found it. Found it? 5 years ago, at your university's flea market, he said. Looking at me, a hint of undetectable nervousness in his eyes. I saw your name and bought it. 5 years ago. Wasn't that right after I graduated? So, you've been since then. Yes. He cut me off, looking at me intently. From the first sentence in your diary, that guy, his ears turned red. So cute. My face flushed crimson with a whoosh. So, at that time, the guy who always secretly looked at me and would blush, was him. It wasn't a coincidence. It was his deliberate chance encounters. So, that secret crush wasn't a one-sided play. So, you married me not because of grandfather's arrangement? That was just an excuse. He walked over to me, took my hand, his voice deep and serious. An excuse to legitimately keep you by my side. Grace, I've liked you for many years. My eyes instantly welled up, all the mysteries, at this moment, were unraveled. Why he knew the yogurt I liked, why he remembered my period, why he was so kind to me, so indulgent, because he loved me. Loved deeply, loved cautiously. I couldn't control myself any longer and threw myself into his arms, hugging him tightly. Fool, why didn't you tell me sooner? He hugged me even tighter, his chin resting on the crown of my head, his voice trembling slightly. I was afraid of scaring you. I was afraid you wouldn't believe me. I looked up at him with tear-filled eyes. I believe you then? I stood on tiptoe and initiated a kiss on his lips. This time, it was no longer a dominant plunder, but a tender one, filled with the cherished feeling of something found after being lost. The iceberg finally melted completely. The next day, I woke up to the smell of food. Opening my eyes, I found the space beside me empty. Rubbing my eyes, I went downstairs and saw Marcus in the kitchen. He was wearing a white shirt, sleeves rolled up to his elbows, and an apron. A pink one with strawberry patterns? The scene was too beautiful for me to watch. He was awkwardly holding a spatula, trying to flip an egg in the frying pan. Suddenly, with a snap, the egg knobbly sacrificed itself on the stove. He frowned in annoyance, his handsome face looking like a child who had made a mistake. I couldn't help but burst out laughing. He heard the sound, looked back at me, and his ears visibly turned red. You're awake? He asked, pretending to be calm as he put down the spatula. Breakfast will be ready soon. I walked over, wrapped my arms around his lean waist from behind, resting my chin on his shoulder. Let me do it, Mr. Marcus. His body stiffened, then relaxed, allowing me to hug him. I'll teach you hand in hand, I said, taking his hand and helping him pick up the spatula again. His palm was broad and warm, enveloping my hand, making me feel secure. First like this, then like that. I whispered instructions into his ear, my warm breath caressing his earlobe. I could feel his breathing growing heavier. As soon as I had fried a perfect sunny side-up egg and was about to let go, he suddenly turned, trapping me between him and the counter. Finished teaching? He leaned down, his dark eyes burning with fire. Then now, it's my turn to teach you. He lowered his head and kissed me. A lingering morning kiss, smelling of eggs and butter. After finishing this feast for the eyes breakfast, Marcus went to work. Before he left, he pinned me against the entryway wall and kissed me for a long time. Wait for me to come back tonight. I nodded, my face flushed. As soon as he left, I received a call from Chloe. Her voice was so excited it was almost cracking. Grace, you're trending. What? CEO's public. Epic story. Tycoon sweetheart. Go check it out yourself. X. And sure enough, photos and videos of Marcus and me kissing on the basketball court yesterday had gone viral. The comments section was filled with excited netizens. What a stunning couple. I'm shipping them first. He's so handsome. She's so beautiful. They're perfect together. Get married right now. I heard the female lead is a designer at Vance. What kind of office romance is this? Come to life. As I was looking, my phone rang again. It was Marcus. Saw the trending topic? His voice held a hint of amusement. I felt a little embarrassed. "Isn't this a bit much? What's wrong with it?" He said matter-of-factly, "It's only right for me to announce my wife." His matter-of-fact tone left no room for argument. "Oh." And he paused, then added, "I changed my gamer tag." "To what?" "Grace's exclusive." I was speechless. "That's just embarrassing." And he continued, "From now on, in the game, if anyone dares to call you wife, I'll hunt them down every single time." I was completely speechless. This man, when in love, why was he so childish? But why did I feel so sweet inside? That afternoon, as I was drawing design plans, Marcus's assistant, suddenly brought me a huge bouquet of roses. They were premium blue roses. A lavish bouquet of nearly 1,000, practically filling half the office. A line of text written in bold, flowing calligraphy adorned the card. "My world, from now on, is only you, Marcus." All the female colleagues in the design department were buzzing with excitement. "Oh my god, that's so romantic. Grace, did you save the galaxy in your past life?" Holding a bouquet taller than me, my face was as red as a tomato. Did this man want the whole world to know how much he loved me? That evening, I returned home and found Marcus already back. He wasn't in the study but in the living room, and in front of him was a ring. It was a minimalist platinum ring, and something seemed to be engraved on the inner band. "This is." He stood up, walked towards me, picked up the ring, and took my hand. "When we got married, it was too rushed. We didn't even have proper rings." He gently slipped the ring onto my ring finger. "The size was perfect, Grace." He knelt on one knee, looking up at me with devout and affectionate eyes. "Although we're already legally married, I still owe you a proper proposal. Will you abandon that ridiculous agreement, cast aside all your worries, and truly marry me?" Tears, once again against my will, streamed down. I nodded vigorously, "Yes, I will." He smiled, stood up, and hugged me tightly. "From now on, you're my only true Mrs. Vance." I stood on tiptoe and kissed his lips. Outside the window, the night was gentle. Inside, love was in full bloom. I knew that from this moment on, the rest of my life would be inextricably linked with this man. We would never be apart again. Our wedding was grand and ceremonious. Marcus brought almost all the best things in the world before me. He said he wanted to give me a wedding envied by every woman in the world. He did it. On our wedding day, I wore the wedding dress he personally helped design. Feeling like a real princess, he stood at the end of the aisle, wearing a white suit, like a prince waiting for his princess, as we exchanged rings and kissed passionately. Chloe in the audience cried even more than I did. Married life was sweet like being steeped in a honey pot. Marcus had completely transformed into a wife-doting maniac. He remembered my preferences better than I did. Every casual word I said, he would take to heart. Once, while watching a gourmet food show on TV, I casually mentioned, "I really want to eat a gourmet feast." The next day, he hired a Michelin 3-star chef to prepare a gourmet feast for me at home. He spoiled me into a dependent person who couldn't take care of myself. Every morning, before I was fully awake, he would squeeze out toothpaste for me and adjust the water temperature. Then, with a lingering morning kiss, he would completely wake me up. My way of recharging. He whispered in my ear, his voice husky. He ordered the entire company's team building event to wear matching company t-shirts. But when they were handed out, only his and mine were in matching couple colors. They were printed with a chibi version of him and a chibi version of me, holding hands. His social media posts used to be blank for ages. Now, it was all my photos, me eating, me working, me sleeping. The caption was always 2 words. Mine. This made his buddies below groan. "Ethan, Marcus, seriously. Cut it out. You're killing us single guys in the middle of the night." Marcus replied, "Single people wouldn't understand, Ethan." He even added a suffix to his gamer tag, "Grace's exclusive, touch her, you die." Then, he really did hunt down every player who called me wife for 3 days and nights in the game. As a result, my name is now a forbidden word in the game. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry and told him he was childish, but he said seriously, "What's mine, no one else can even touch." This dominant yet sweet possessiveness left me completely defenseless. Once, we went back to my parents' house for dinner. My parents watched Marcus, who was incredibly attentive and constantly serving me dishes, with their jaws practically on the floor. They simply couldn't connect the devoted husband before them with the rumored cold-blooded living terror. After dinner, my mom secretly pulled me aside. "Grace, tell mom the truth. Marcus, does he have some dirt on you?" I was speechless. "Mom, isn't your imagination a little too wild?" A year into our marriage, I got pregnant. Marcus was as nervous as a warrior facing the end of the world. He canceled all unnecessary work and stayed by my side every day. He read prenatal stories to me and massaged my swollen calves. When I craved spicy and sour noodles in the middle of the night, he didn't say a word, just got dressed and ran out to buy them for me. The day our child was born, it was a cute daughter, who looked like me but had his eyes. Lying in the hospital bed, I watched the tall man, over 6 feet, carefully hold the tiny, soft baby, his eyes red-rimmed. "My love, you worked so hard." He came over and kissed my forehead. I shook my head. "It wasn't hard. I'm very happy." When changing the baby's diaper, both of them were clumsy and made a mess. Finally, they decided to play rock, paper, scissors to determine who would do it. The winner had to feed the other person fruit and cheer them on. The scene was quite hilarious at one point. When our daughter was 3, we had a parent-teacher conference. The teacher saw me alone and thinking I was a single mom. Her eyes were filled with sympathy. Halfway through the meeting, the conference room door was pushed open. Marcus arrived, dusty and travel-worn, having just come from an international video conference, still in his sharp suit. He walked to my side, pulled me into his embrace, and solemnly announced in front of all the teachers and parents, "Excuse me, I'm late. Let me introduce myself. I am Grace's husband and the child's father." The whole place fell silent. The teacher's jaw dropped to the floor. That night, the three of us lay on the bed. Our daughter was sleeping in the middle, already breathing evenly. Marcus hugged me from behind, his chin resting on my shoulder. "My love, thank you." "For what?" "Thank you for appearing in my life, for turning me, this ice, into fire." I turned around and hugged him back. "Thank you too, for loving me all these years." We exchanged a smile and shared a gentle kiss in our daughter's sweet dream, outside the window. The stars were shining brightly. I thought, this was probably love, in its most beautiful form, from a careful secret crush to a publicly known passionate romance, from a cold agreement to a warm home. I'm so glad I didn't miss him, and I'm so glad he was always there, waiting for me.